All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, on this January 26th, the day after my Patriots have now advanced to the Super Bowl again for the most time in history, 13. Anyway, and the Seattle has, and that's Troy's team too. So we already started our bet. We'll see how it finishes. But today we are very fortunate from the lovely state of California, specifically Orange County, Anaheim Hills office. We have Mr. Dick Crawford. Dick, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. Well, okay. Well, hey, I was checking your numbers end of November. You're doing very well. And I already know that because, we coach together anyway. But currently number, I think, 4 in your office at the end of November and number 12 or 13 in all of California. So that is awesome. Tell them a little about yourself, how long you've been doing this wonderful thing called real estate.
I have been doing this wonderful thing called real estate. It wasn't so wonderful last year, but we slipped through. We did okay. Doing this thing called real estate for about 22 years. I'm going to finish up my 22nd year in June, and still enjoying it quite well. It's the people, right? It's the people. Been doing this since 2004, and I was previously, in a previous life, I was an accountant for many, many years. And I knew going into real estate, I wasn't afraid of the numbers. I was afraid of a lot of other things because it's difficult for an accountant to become a salesman. But I was not afraid of the numbers. So I quote unquote, jumped right in and struggled for a few years, and things turned around. And then my timing was perfect because I came in just before the Great Recession. I came in at the peak of the business back then. And so I really got my education when things started to fall apart in '07 and '08, '09. And that's when and where I became a realtor. And in the long run, it was a very good thing. It was very painful for an enormous amount of people. And I had my own pain just being in the business. But that's what made me a realtor, and got my relationships. It got my craft. It got my confidence and gave me some perspective, some war stories. So going through that fire was, in my case, going through that fire was exactly what I needed to build a good business and know what the heck I'm doing for the long run.
Yes, yes, and that numbers part was that the business part of it, I think, was really advantageous for you as you had, because let's face it, we're solo entrepreneurs. I like to say you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself with this company. But numbers don't talk, right? So you had to, learn how to mix it up with people. And you're already a very social person, but I'm assuming that's where the toughest part was, right?
Exactly. I had a career of sitting in my office, and people would slide the work under the door, and I'd get it done and slide it back under the door. I didn't do a whole lot of talking to people, or certainly not on the level that we do now. And so that was a huge adjustment for me, to explain to people, how the business works, how I work, how I can help them, and explain them through some difficult points in the transaction and such. And just getting out there and knocking on doors and saying hi to people. I mean, for about a week or so, I was terrified, and then I suddenly started to get a little rhythm and get a little style, and that made it a lot easier. And then soon enough, quite frankly, it became fun, and that's what helped. As soon as I made it fun and I kind of plugged into that aspect of it, it got to be a lot easier, and I attracted more people for the right reasons.
Right, and that's the thing I think would be great for people to hear. So you mentioned a lot of good stuff in there, knocking on doors, talking to people. Tell me a little about that journey, like what you do as far as your routine to stay in front of people, stay relevant, and so forth.
I'll talk about kind of how it evolved, because now it's a lot different because I'm in a different point in my business, right?
Right.
I'm part of the Buffini organization, where we have a thing called calls, notes, and pop-bys, where there's different ways to contact people and different ways to be consistent in our contact with people. So one of the things that terrified me was the knocking on doors, popping by. But when it wasn't a cold knock, or you're just knocking on every single door down the street, when it was that, it was pretty tough. And yet I still was able to get some relationships going. So out of that, I found a few people in each neighborhood, literally like 3 or 4 people at the most in each neighborhood, who I got along with, who accepted me at the door and weren't afraid and slamming the door in my face. So I got a relationship going with them. And so in that relationship, I was able to kind of plug into their relationships. And over time, I kept going back to just those people. I didn't knock on the other doors in the neighborhood, the ones that didn't answer or slammed the door or just said no thank you. I went on to those who accepted me and who had a good conversation and who appreciated what I was doing. So that gave me a little bit of a rhythm in that sense. It also gave me a foundation of people to go back to. So over the years, I was able to come up with people who had answered the door well as just regular acquaintances, people at church and people who I knew from around my own neighborhood. I was able to get a rhythm going and talk to those people on a regular basis. And it wasn't, when are you going to move? It was, hey, who do you know? I'm here for you. If you've got any questions, if you know of anybody who is trying to figure all this stuff out, I'd be happy to help. No problem at all. As opposed to, hey, when are you going to move? I could use some business. It was, who do you know? I'd be more than happy to help them through a jam if they've got some questions. And that's what was the secret for me, because I found that in doing that, I was always ready for someone to come in and ask me a question. I had already set the table, and that made it fun for me, because when they came to me, they were just asking a question, or they were saying, hey, I'm thinking about listing in a few months, and I just love that part of it. So in finding those few people, turned out to be about 120, I was able to attract somebody every once in a while. And that grew into a little bit of a cadence in my business where I was consistently attracting 10, 12, 15 people a year to do a transaction.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. You started off by casting this wider net, narrowing it down to the people that you actually had a connection with or good conversations that you felt would help you, and you could help them by keeping them informed and so forth, and narrowed it down. And then ultimately, Brian Buffini's, which I love, by the way. By the way, we were talking the other day about him doing a video in front of the statue is a horse, and the thing I found it because it was bothering me. I'm like, why can't I remember? Anyway, basically his video is get on your horses. The rates just hit 599.
There you go.
Right? But so by referral only, which is Brian Buffini. So you're at a place now where most of your business is repeat and referral, and you're dealing with a select group of people that you've cultivated, and groomed, so to speak, over time, that gives you the majority of your business.
That's exactly right, and I've honed it a little bit to simplify it. I've got many different touch points in place so that I don't have to necessarily drive around town and seeing those people. It turned out to be like 4 or 5 times a year I call it my paper route, going by and seeing them in a certain order just to, keep track of what I was doing. Now I've got these different touch points in place where I don't have to, and I've got great relationships with them, so I don't have to go by and actually physically see them and remind them and look them in the eye. I can see, quote unquote, visit them in different ways. I've got an e-newsletter that I do. I send out to a couple hundred people. I've got a snail mail letter that I do each month, and that's about 100 people. I do one of those magazines that allows me to edit the front and back page to personalize it a little bit. I never thought I'd do that, but I've got a magazine that goes out every other month to about 50 people. And then I pop by to see, 50 to 100 people maybe 2-3 times a year. And along the way, I call them, I write them a note, things like that. But it's not nearly as intense as it was in the beginning because I've got those relationships. They know me, and I've groomed that relationship so that I don't have to go out constantly, but I touch them in different ways throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you used to go visit them by doing pop-bys. Give them a couple. It's like somebody who's earlier on in this game, like, than you are. Tell them how you went out there and what you used to bring and maybe your frequency, things like that, so they get an idea of how you did it.
Okay. When you said that, it just sent me back to the first days when I was doing it. I was like, oh, I'm going to knock on the door. What am I going to say? What the heck? Why am I there?
Right.
How do I justify myself? Right. And so I turned it into a little bit of a game in the sense of, number one, I wasn't asking them for their business. I wasn't asking them when are they going to move. I was actually asking them questions to help me understand, the business. How do you like this neighborhood? What are the good and bad things about this neighborhood? Or do you have anybody who's interested in a great neighborhood? Because I might be able to help them find a place right here in this neighborhood near you. And so it was still kind of salesy. So I kind of threw some of that out the window, and I wanted to just focus on and help them focus on that I was there to help. And sometimes you can't do it with words as well as you might want to, particularly me. And so I would take little silly things with me, and and I was trying to accentuate the idea that I'm here for you, I'm your better choice, I'm a good guy, I'm not a stalker. And one of the things I did, I just loved it to this day. People talk about it. Is I did a set of those chattering teeth. The little things that you wind up and you put it on the table and it chatters. And it was something along the lines of everybody else is just chatter. I'll give you some real information or something, something like that. So I made it fun for them and kind of broke it down to a laugh to make a point. And again, I didn't leave them with, so when you're getting ready to move, give me a call. No, because that would have just destroyed the conversation. I just said, hey, just want to let you know I'm here for you if you've ever got any questions or if you know of anybody who's trying to figure it out. All right? Hey, take care. See you later. And I left them with, in some cases, they were dumbfounded, because he didn't ask me when I was going to move. Now, every once in a while, people would say, we are thinking of moving. Oh, really?
Right.
So I would take some fun things that would take the focus away from maybe what I considered the obvious and kind of built my brand that way on the idea that I'm here for you, I'm fun, I'm intelligent, I'm caring, I won't hesitate to jump in, but I'm not going to cram it down your throat.
Right. I love it. And rumor has it that you would even stop by and catch up on the market with them.
Yes. If you ever want to catch up with the market, just give me a call. That was, and I still do that to this day, Rick. That's a bottle of ketchup. It's a bottle of ketchup. Price has gone up over the years, but I try to keep these Popeye ideas. Try to keep them to about $2, and ketchup goes a little bit more. But most of the things I can give them, $2. But the bottle of ketchup is awesome. I created my own label, and it's worked out beautifully. I got my picture on the label. I just put it smack over the label of Heinz or whoever it is I purchased it from, and it works beautifully. If you ever want to catch up with the market, you know who to call. And then down on the bottom it says, oh, by the way, I relish your referrals, and don't hesitate to call the realtor who really cuts the mustard. So again, having fun with it. But that one worked out really well because think about it. How long does it take you to get through a bottle of ketchup? It could take you a month. It could take you 6 months. Yeah. And so that little pop by, number one, it was very useful. It wasn't just a set of chattering teeth for a laugh. That was very useful. And it would stay in the refrigerator for, a couple of seasons. Well, one time I got a call from a client, a customer, not yet a client. He called me up and he says, hey, my kids want to know if we can have another bottle of ketchup. We just ran out. And that was like 5-6 months after I had given it to them. So that bottle of ketchup had been on their table and in their fridge all that time, and they were using it to the end. That was a great pop by, and I still use that one to this day, once a year, right around 4th of July.
I love it. Yeah, if you get those Costco ones, it could last them a year.
Well, but then you can't go by and give them another one. You got to, you go in the door and say, oh, we already got the other one. So yeah, I try to give a small one because it's cheaper and it runs out a little bit quicker, but not too quick.
Right.
Oh, and
Exactly.
other thing I forgot to say is, along with all of these pop buys, I was always trying to accentuate the care, the community, the credibility. So I would take the little, gizmo, whatever it might have been, and a notepad, a pen with my information on it, and some market information, or some general market information about, what's going on with trusts. Is your house in a trust? It should be. Or with some specifics about interest rates, or maybe even some things in their neighborhood. But the primary thing was to show them that I'm credible and I know what I'm doing and I'm connected to people who know what they're doing in their respective areas of real estate. So it was more than just a fun thing to start the conversation. It was some credibility and some utility in a pen and a paper that they would have for a while as well. So there's a lot of little subtleties to it, and I would put that in a plastic bag, and if they weren't home and I knew them well, I would just hang it from the doorknob, take a picture of it, and send them a text message, say, hey, sorry I missed you, check your doorknob for some goodies. And
I love it.
It was just a great way to stay in touch with people without spending too much time on them and without spending too much money doing it. And it was very, very targeted. It was no longer that wide net or that shotgun approach.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. After you've been doing it for a while, then you've got it narrowed down to your select group of people, and you're getting a majority of your business from them. So it's a really smart way, and for those people out there that aren't there yet, well, they can use the wide net first and then narrow it down like you did. It takes time, right?
No, exactly. And it is a process. It's a process of learning the business. It's a process of, getting to know people. And it can be frantic, but that's just part of it, I guess. And we've all got our own ways that we approach it. We've all got our own set of results that we build on. But that is the way to go, is set a wide net and narrow it as quickly as you can so that your time and money is being used really well.
Right. Yep, absolutely. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's do this. My favorite question to ask top producers like yourself is, so I want to take this to the next level. I want to come out of the gate hot or whatever. I want to, really maximize, or as you heard me say, elevate the mix in 2026. What would be the top 3 things? That's my new saying, by the way, if you haven't heard it.
I hadn't heard it. I love that.
Yeah. So I always have a saying every year, and that's it for 2026, elevate your mix, which means, to me, it means elevate everything you're doing. So give them your top 3. I want to be success in this business. What are the top 30 things you tell them to focus on?
Well, for somebody and I'll say this to myself, back when I was starting out, this is what I would have told myself, is to really know yourself well on a lot of different levels. We're all family members and we're all realtors. We're high school graduates or college graduates or whatever. And there's all different levels, but know yourself on those deeper levels of, what are your personality tendencies, because it will help you understand how you respond to things. It will help you understand why you pursue things in a certain way. Know yourself really well, because it ends up giving yourself some grace for the way you approach the business. That's really, really important. And now that I know myself a whole lot better, it's helped me immensely year after year. And then
that's great.
Work true to yourself. Even though you know yourself well, sometimes you have a tendency to say, well, yeah, I know myself well. I've got all these weaknesses, so I'm going to really have to work on them. Because, boy, if I don't work on them, I'm going to fail. Well, okay, I appreciate that. But if you work true to yourself and you brand yourself and you market yourself true to your strengths and your tendencies and your pleasures, it's more natural and it's more fun. And it will be more productive because it's more natural to you and yourself. So sometimes it's a tough pivot to make. But if you really, whether you're a dog lover or an ex-accountant, or whatever your tendencies are, whatever your hobbies are, whatever excites you, use it. Mine is photography. I use that many times in the way I market. So know yourself well, work true to yourself, and then avoid comparing yourself to others. It's very hard because you've got other people whose numbers are flying around, and they post things in the office wall that tell you what number you are in the office, and just try to avoid comparing yourself to others. Rather, compare yourself to your abilities, and say, I'm better than that, or last year I wasn't doing it as well, and this year I've improved. That's awesome. That's the way to go, because it gives you, again, a little bit more grace to say, yeah, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm not as good as that guy over there who happened to tap into, some investor who wants to divest 20 properties, or I'm not as good as that guy over there who's been in the business a lot longer, or whatever it is. You're better than you were last year, and that's what's important. So know yourself well, work true to yourself, and stop comparing yourself to others, but compare yourself to your abilities and what you're able to do for people.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because, knowing yourself well, like you like relationships with people. You don't want to come across too salesy. So your whole marketing is built around that. So you feel comfortable, it makes you feel good, right? I think that's incredibly well. And I love that work true to yourself. Like if you're a dog lover, you can definitely, whatever your hobbies and stuff are, you can implement that into your business and especially into your social media and all kinds of stuff like that, because you can definitely attract people and work with people with wants and beliefs in life, right?
Just no question about it. It's just amazing how, and I would never have thought about that. I didn't even like the idea of, I'm not a dog lover. I like dogs, but it's not like I'm a dog lover. I'm a photography lover. But it's amazing how you attract people who have, similar hobbies and similar loves. And the amazing thing in this Western U.S., Nevada, Arizona, California, we got plenty of people out there who need a roof over their heads. And a certain percent of them love photography, love dogs, love these different hobbies that we have, and we will attract them. And then they will send us to their friends who aren't necessarily photography lovers or dog lovers, but they're friends. And that's how we break through and expand our network. Just a few folks who really, want to engage with us, and they'll send us to the rest.
Yeah, I love it. I even have one woman in my coaching or in our company that is a coffee lover, and a lot of her posts are about coffee. She gets all kinds of comments and all kinds of good stuff because, some people love coffee. So there you go.
One of the things I keep threatening to do, and I've never done it because it's not completely important, but I was going to go back and do like a family tree of my business and take the current clients that I have right now, who I'm working with, and say, where did I get them? Where'd they come from? And, oh, yeah, that's right. They came from Bob and Susie. Where did I find Bob and Susie? Oh, yeah, Bob and Susie came from Rick and Sally. Now, where did those guys come from? Oh, those guys I knew at church for years and years. Or those guys, I went to high school with them or college with them. Or those guys, that. So when I started thinking about that, I thought, I've got, number one, I've got about 8 or 10 clients who have sent me about 15 different transactions throughout the years, or maybe 5 to 10 transactions throughout the years. And then I've got a lot of others who came from the same spot, from church, or for that first couple of years of door knocking, or from college friends. And it starts to really give you some comfort that, I'm doing it right because I'm just patient about it. I wasn't wanting to do it all at once. I was just going with the strength of relationships and with the people who I attracted by being myself. And it's turned out beautifully that way.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it, my man. Well, this has been awesome. I just want to say, Dick, thank you very much for taking your time out today to do this podcast. I'm sure we're going to blast this out everywhere. I'm sure you'll get all kinds of, recognition, and also well-deserved, and maybe a couple people calling you about referrals and so forth too. So any final words you want to leave these lovely people today?
Elevate your mix in 26. I just love that. It's constantly improve. You're right, Mick. You're right, Rick. Figure out what the different mixes are that we have in this world, in this business, and elevate all of them. Just a little bit of improvement every day makes it work.
I really appreciate that. Yes, thank you, sir, and thank you for taking your time out today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll do this again next week. Dick, have a wonderful day, and thanks for your time, my man.
Thank you, Rick. Take care.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye now.